I work in a prison. When I was new, I was working overtime one night in a housing unit that has seen a lot of death. It was well after midnight, and all of the offenders were supposed to be in their cells. Since this was a medium security prison, the offenders still had access to leave their cell to use the communal bathroom at night. Well, I was going in for the 2 a.m. count. I watched an offender walk down the stairs from the second level and into the bathroom. I stood at the entrance to the bathroom and yelled in to ask them what cell they were in so I could add an extra body to that cell for my count, but got no answer. I then walked into the bathroom and searched everywhere but found absolutely nobody. I told one of my coworkers about what happened, and the first thing they asked me was he tall and skinny with long dreads? And he had been. When I answered yes, I was told, "That's Mr. Bones. He killed himself a few years ago, but he still hangs around." I still get goosebumps thinking about it. I was working as campus security and I had to close down the main law school building. The building was downtown in a major city and was old enough that the tunnels underneath it were used in the Underground Railroad. Think dirt floors and wooden crossbeams like you would imagine a mine. There was work going on in the tunnels, not sure what it was, but I think they were reinforcing the supports. Anyways, as part of my routine, I had to go around and check to make sure the build was vacant. I climb down the ladder into the tunnels. All the contractor lights are off. I say a few "hello, anyone here?" and shine my flashlight around silence for a moment. Then I hear what sounds like a radio tune from the 1920s coming from the tunnel. I immediately climb the ladder and padlock the trap door, arm the motion sensors, and leave. Fuck that. I worked the overnight shift at a drug rehab program. Patients reported strange things happening at night, and the former overnight staff also told me of different occurrences, including apparitions. Anyways, there was a particular room where a client experienced sleep paralysis regularly. I also felt cold spots in that room in the dead of winter with the heater on high. Both of these things could be rationally explained. However, while doing my hourly rounds, I went to open the door of this room when I noticed the doorknob turning as if someone was opening it from the other side. No problem. Sometimes the patients can't sleep and get up to talk or smoke a cigarette while I step aside to let this person through, and the door opens. There is no one there. The way the room was set up, it would be impossible for someone to open the door and crawl back in bed without me noticing. Suffice it to say, I was a complete believer after this happened. There was other creepy stuff that staff and patients talked about, but this was my personal experience. Two things happened when I was an overnight baker in a downtown area. Parking overnights is free in this downtown area, but it can be crowded. First come, first served. This one night, I parked a block away, and as I was walking to my job, this young guy is riding his bike around me and my car. He followed me close to my job. I was quickly able to get in the building. That morning when my boss came in for AM, he told me about his weird experience of this kid on a bike riding around him in his car. That guy did this for a few days until the weekend, getting closer each time. The last time he tried to hit my boss with his bike, but my boss managed to hop between two vehicles and walk away safely. We never saw that guy again. 2. In summer, I would sit outside on a well-lit and busy side street, and on this side at the opposite end was a federal building with nothing between us but solid building. So this one night, I'm relaxing and I look towards the federal building and see a person completely in shadow walking my way. Even walking under the streetlight, I couldn't see the features of this person. I quickly went in and waited from a somewhat hidden position to see who passed. No one passed at all in the next 10 minutes. I've never felt such malevolence from a person who was just walking. It still bothers me 15 years later. My fiancé worked overnights in a prison, and the experience single-handedly made him believe in ghosts. First experience, fiancé is in the restroom taking a piss by flashlight since all the lights go out in the area at night. Motion-activated hand dryer goes off, no one else there. Fiancé pees on his boots a little and gets the fuck out. Second experience, fiancé is walking a check and hears a huge crash from around the corner. I believe he was in the kitchen area, which had been the scene of several murders. He rushes to the noise and finds absolutely nothing out of place, despite it sounding like a boulder had crashed through a wall and knocked everything on the floor or something. Third experience, fiancé is working in the tower. Upper brass occasionally pop out to towers to make sure people are doing what they're supposed to do, so he doesn't think too much of it when he hears someone coming up the extremely loud stairs to get into the tower. However, after a few minutes, no one comes up through the door. He peeks down, no one there. Radios around, no one was out there. Fourth experience, fiancé is in the tower again, and it's loud AF. Just lots of little buzzing noises, the wind is blowing stuff around on the outside of the tower, etc. Fiancé is sleep deprived and cranky. He yells "shut up," and everything goes dead silent and remains that way for the rest of his shift.